Guys, and welcome back. If you are new to the channel, please do me a favor, subscribe, like the video. It helps my channel grow and it helps me bring more interesting topics and statistics to you. So today we are going to revisit the Mercosur or the EU-Mercosur Interim Trade Agreement. So you probably know this was an agreement between the European Union and a group of countries in South America that was negotiated for many years, and initially it faced some challenges and question marks, especially around the fact that the EU countries will be importing a lot of food from the South American countries without knowing if they fully respect all the security requirements and criteria imposed by the EU to their own farmers. So, once Mercosur just started, it seems some of these worries became true. And we found out of a case where 80% of frozen chicken imported by Greece was found positive on salmonella. This is an article from a Greece paper, but the event was populated by different other newspapers. So let's just give it a quick read. So 80% of the first frozen chicken, 3 tons in total, that arrived to Greece from Brazil were contaminated with salmonella. The Pan-Hellenic Federation of Public Geotechnical Engineers revealed at a press conference on Saturday, May the 2nd, and it was the first batch of chicken imported by Greece within the trade agreement of Mercosur with the European Union. So, what a coincidence. First shipment, first problem. The issue raises serious questions about the effectiveness of the EU's control mechanism and the safety of imported food that are raised by findings from control carried out on frozen chicken that came from Brazil to Greece within the framework of the EU-Mercosur Trade Agreement, which obviously, yeah, they say provokes strong reactions from producers and livestock farmers, which were before the deal was closed against the signing of the deal because it affected their their interests. But yeah, it was ultimately signed, as we know. And according to results from the veterinary laboratories of Agia Paraskevi, suburb of Athens, approximately 80% of the first batches tested were found to be contaminated with salmonella, something that led to their immediate return. The fact was confirmed at a press conference by the president of this federation, raising strong concerns about the adequacy of controls on imported products. So it makes you wonder that if they were importing chicken or another similar type of meat from an EU country, would this problem appear? Most likely not, because we haven't seen that, but with the first import from Mercosur countries, this problem immediately arose. And the incident comes at a time of strong reactions to the trade agreement between the EU and Mercosur, which is in the process of ratification. So Nikos Kakava spoke of serious impacts on the primary sector, arguing that the expansion of imports undermines domestic production. Yes, this was a concern that was stated even at the start of the negotiations for the agreement. And at the same time, he stressed that veterinary service operate with staff shortages that does not exceed 40% of the positions, which directly affects the effectiveness of controls. So we might have a series of shipments with different health problems, and on top of that, it seems that Greece or other countries as well might not have the sufficient staff to test all of them or to properly test them. So yeah, the perfect conditions for a problem. So if we go back, the first shipments under the provisional EU-Mercosur Interim Trade Agreement have faced a rocky start. And the early statistics data indicates that about 50% of the initial declarations were temporarily suspended by customs due to formal paperwork errors. So some of these errors, as we see here, is the Euro 1 certificate errors for importers, the missing exporter registrations. Several South American exporters were not officially registered in their home countries, logistical bottlenecks, and different regional origin rules. So, as we know, the interim trade agreement went to effect on May 1st, 2026. So, when we are talking about different incidents outside of this one, which was popularized by the media, we had a lot of discrepancies in proof of origin. So the state of origin text contained deviations from the exact legal template required by EU. And some exporters also failed to secure the needed paperwork and registration. But this is more on the bureaucratic part. Where we are more interested is on the sanitary non-compliance. And the response of the EU uh, puppeteers, sorry, officials, was that they will maintain their stringent food and health safety baselines. So they basically went out of their way to promise us that every piece of food that comes from these countries under the Mercosur agreement will be as safe, as clean, as compliant with sanitary conditions as the food produced in EU. Obviously, the local farmers and food producers did not really trust them. So, not trusting politicians, you can't really blame them. So, once the shipments started coming in to Europe, these agri-food shipments have been systematically turned down due to antibiotic residues. So, shipments of livestock and meat from South America that fail to meet the new EU mirror measures banning certain growth promoting antibiotics are being denied entry. So while EU has strict rules in place for not using antibiotics on the farm animals, South America appears they have not so much these conditions. So part of these shipments were found to have high antibiotic residues. And then there was a problem of traceability gaps. So missing or incomplete health and veterinary certifications presented at the EU borders that prevent customs from verifying geographic origins. So we don't really know if they are from the areas or from the producers that have been green lighted to export in the EU. So that's another problem. So um, as we go back to the incident in Greece and we look at some key details of the situation. So when the veterinary and public health official in Greece flagged this first batch of Mercosur public chicken after testing, it shows allegedly, they say, high levels of contamination with salmonella, as we've said. And then the regulatory response was to send the contaminated batch back. So it was preventing from entering the market, immediately recalled. So to say, okay, we have demonstrated that EU food safety and border control are actively screening for compliance. But then again, it asks the question, was it the only one or was it the only one which was identified as problematic? So obviously there are some market and political reactions. So these initial safety issues have sparked intense debate across Europe with farming organizations and consumers advocating, citing this incident as a proof that importing meat may fail to meet EU health and safety standards. But as we know, and we've discussed a bit about it, there is also more. There are also more and more people who consider that this Mercosur agreement was signed as a way to provide cheaper food to EU because due to inflation and due to the bad politics in place taken by the EU puppeteers, sorry, officials, prices rose higher and higher each year. So they needed to find a way to provide the population with cheaper food. But of course, they also wanted to assure them that this food would be the same quality as the one produced locally, only somehow cheaper. So we will revisit the Mercosur agreement and we'll discuss about any future incidents. But in the meantime, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you soon.